So one last question. You pick. Yeah, right here in front of us.
Thank you very, very much. One thing I wanted to talk about, I mean, the film addresses the money that when of those savings goes down. So there's a second robbery where the people that do have money in the bank, that money is slowly melting and disappearing. And do you have anything to say about that? Did that topic come up at all when you were doing your investigations for the movie?
Yeah, there's a 4-hour cut of this movie and the Fed is part of that. The credit card industry, I had another whole section on that. I mean, I had the same problem with Sicko, where I literally decided the only way to do this properly was to focus on one thing well, and so I picked the health insurance industry. But there's another whole movie on pharmaceutical companies that needs to be made. And in this case, the Fed, the other robbery that's going on, the credit card collapse, that's going to be one of our next collapse, the house of cards that is, the credit card debt that's out there. So there's a lot of things that are coming down the pike, and I think that we're no way out of the woods yet on any of this. Just because the Dow Jones is up in the 9,000s again, doesn't have a whole hell of a lot to do with, you know, the big stuff that affects people in their everyday lives. So unemployment now is officially near 10%, unofficially probably closer to 20%. All the foreclosures I talked about, this is going to continue, and but I think that you know, there are some real, I mean, I got to tell you, to be honest, and I think I'm pretty aware of Congress and all that. I had never heard of Marcy Kaptur, and her district borders Michigan, where I live. So I'm thinking, geez, okay, I didn't know about her. I'll bet you there's 10 other great minds in this Congress. And I'll bet you there's people out there who need to be thinking of running next year, right now. I mean, why leave it up to the professionals who who just keep running? And you know, what's the return rate for incumbents? It's something like 95% or something like that. I just remember reading the statistic where our return rate of our incumbents to Congress was like something around 95%. The old Soviet Politburo was 91%. So people have to start thinking about running for office. And the number one piece of legislation we should be pushing for always is a removal of money from politics. Once the money is out of there, those people are going to have to respond to us. And it's like, but once they get in there, they immediately are told, you got to start fundraising for the next election right now, or you're not going to make it. And we need some people who say, I'm going to run, and I'm not going to run with that in mind. And we need to get behind those people and get them elected. So people in here tonight, there's 1 or 2 people in here tonight who should be running for office next year, whether it's locally for your school board or your city commission, or whether it's for Congress. I think that's, you know, it sounds like a crazy idea, but, you know, I ran for school board when I was 18, and I won. So I know from my own personal experience it can happen. But I don't know if that answers your question or if that's really...
It does. I mean, I guess one of the things that we haven't addressed is that with a result of printing more money and putting more money in the money supply is traditionally superinflation. And the only thing that's stopping that happening right now is our confidence. If people start panicking, we'll have another situation, which is superinflation. And so the problems that we have now could be compounded. I mean, it's actually incredible, given the amount of money we've pumped into our system, that it hasn't affected our inflation rates.
Right, but I don't want to feel like we've been lucky, because I know from enough of the emails and letters I get that people are really suffering out there and people are really hurting. And you know, while it's harder for me to make these movies because, you know, I can't get interviews with people, you know, who are in the opposition, I do hear from a lot of people, and I get a lot of things sent to me, a lot of great ideas for the next film or the next film, or documents that people steal from the office and scan and send to me. And I mean, some of the people in this film are people who just wrote to me. The guy who gave Chris Dodd all those loans, those sweetheart deals that he got. And you know, if we...
VIP guy.
Yeah, yeah. And if we didn't have the internet, he literally would have no way to reach me. He could send a fan letter to the studio, and I'd never see it. But the fact that he could communicate directly with me and say, I've got the documents to prove what I'm going to tell you. I'm fortunate to be in a position to be able to get that sort of thing, and I'm lucky to have an internet to be able to do that. So I want to encourage you to keep doing what you do and to get that information out there and to have a take no prisoners attitude. You know, no, seriously, I mean that, because very few of us on the left, and it's okay to say that about you?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I really think that we are more powerful when we recognize, as you said earlier, that 75% of Americans want universal health care. Right. Large majorities want the troops to come home from Afghanistan. You know, large majorities want something to be done about Wall Street. So when we just say the left, either the left has massively expanded to 3/4 of all America, or these are not just left-wing positions. These are majority positions.
But they started as left-wing positions.
Yeah, that's fine. We can take credit for that.
No, I'm not taking credit, but I'm just saying thank you to those of you who had those positions 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And you're right. We are now the mainstream. We are the majority opinion of this country. So instead of just sort of sitting back and smoking a doobie on that one, I think we need to, I'm not accusing you of smoking anything, but I'm just saying.
Let's act like the majority.
Let's act like the majority. We have the power, right? Let's do it. Come on.
Let's do it. And this is a great note of optimism on which to end. As Michael said, we do have the internet. We can actually reach millions of people. We can actually run for office without having to depend on Goldman Sachs and the pharmaceutical companies. We can raise small donations. All those things are now possible. And Michael, I'm so glad you're not going anywhere. I'm so glad you promised to stay and that you made this magnificent movie. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Ariana, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thank you.